We wanted to jump on today because we're on day 5 of what is a fast mimicking diet. And what that means is for the past 5 days, we haven't eaten a lot of food. Yes, we have eaten food, but not a hell of a lot of food. So let's start, Nick, with why on earth have we done this? Like, what was the thinking, madness, whatever we want to call it, behind going? Because this is the second time we've done it. So for you, what was the driving force?
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to day 5 of our fast. We might be a bit delirious. We're pumped. We're pumped. We're loving it. And you're right. We have done this a couple of times, and one of the key reasons that we did it, and I'll share obviously from my own point of view, but also why we want to share this with you, is because it was all about how do we thrive in life. Therefore, we can thrive in business. Our conversations are all centered around how to thrive in business, how to thrive in life, and especially without the burnout. And so for me, if I cast my mind back to August when we first did this fast, it's been quite a different experience in some ways this time around. And especially then, it was really for me about breaking the cycles, breaking the patterns, the habits, and the beliefs that I had personally around food. And there's so many interesting conversations I've had with you, Ness, our mentor in this space, Susan, and other people that are interested around. It's actually for me been about breaking ancestral cycles. So my family was really poor and hungry growing up. And then, that obviously goes back generations. And I realized that I had these beliefs that were not my own. For example, I never, ever was at risk of starving in my very comfortable house in Sawtell, near Coffs Harbour, Australia. Starvation was not on the table for me. I was very well fed. However, I had these beliefs growing up and as an adult, even 12 months ago, that if I didn't have food, as an example, for, I don't know, not very long, 12 hours or something, then I might literally starve to death. That was a belief I uncovered from doing this
Wow.
fast the first time. I mean, it sounds so silly, but the feeling is so real. And there was a whole bunch of stuff that came up. So for me, it was about breaking some cycles around recognizing that there's beliefs and stories that are holding me back that are not my own. And I definitely got that. And then doing it the second time, it builds on that. And also, if I can do this in one area of my life, then I'm proving to myself that I can do it in other areas of my life, and business being that. Because we often say, and it's a bit of a cliche these days, that having a business is the most intense personal development program that you can go on. And there's other areas in our lives, whether it's food, whether it's exercise, whether it's, I don't know, learning, studying. Every area in our life, we tell ourselves things, and we have told ourselves things. But where did those beliefs start from? And how do they hold us back? Because if we're being held back in one area, even though it might not make sense, like how does a fast relate to business? When I believe in myself and I know I can break through these barriers and break cycles, it makes me more optimal performance, healthier, just more of a kick-ass, badass woman, therefore an even better business owner, leader, and the ripple effect in all areas. So that's would you believe it? Just a little snapshot
So
as to
much.
why this is so important for me and why I did it. What about for you, Ness?
Yeah, look, I really interesting hearing you say that, because I'm thinking in my own reflections around what were the beliefs that come up for me. And I know I uncover, and I've known this for a little while, but I have this all or nothing thinking. So that what my more fascinating observations are is leading up to doing the fast and all the food that I'm going to miss out on. So I better shove it all in my mouth and drink all the alcohol and do all the things because I'm going to be fasting for the week. And it makes no logical sense to me, because it's not good for your health to do it, to take it that way. However, there's two probably driving forces behind why I love this, and not just for me in relation to my health, which is the key driver, but also in my energy levels and how I show up at work. So, first of all, it's the challenge. I love a challenge. When I know I am, under, I won't say under pressure, but when my determination is questioned, and it's something that I truly believe in, I dig in. I love that it was described to me once as called the internal locus of control.
Yeah.
And I'm really high in that. So it's what has helped me make some big decisions during life. It's what helped me to leave my marriage. It's what's helped me to start my business. It's what helped me to recently move to Melbourne. All these things that once I get this desire to go and see something through, I know that determination is going to kick in. So I guess I'm testing to make sure that's still there. And because I love it. I love when I get that sense in me, because it can be quite different to when I have that all or nothing thinking. But I guess it really is all or nothing, isn't it? It's like, I'm determined.
Yes, I'll show you. I'll show myself.
Yeah, I'll show myself. And it's like I've always done these kinds of things. Like last year, I did 30 days alcohol free to start the year. In previous years, I would do like a month of no chocolate. Just little tests along the way that stretch that comfort level, I guess.
Wasn't it 90 days, Ness?
Did I say 3 months?
You said 30 days. I'm like,
Oh,
no, it was 90 days, everybody. It was longer than 30 days. Well, I heard 30 days anyway.
Absolutely. No alcohol for 3 months, and obviously no alcohol again at the moment. And really, I guess that links into the reset component of it. So for me, it's about breaking the habits that have grown over time that actually aren't working for me in any way. They're not empowering me. They're not resourceful. It's the, drinking and eating and just getting into unhealthy habits. So what I love is a reset is just like, it's a complete circuit breaker. There's just like, there's nowhere to hide in this. It's like you get the food, you eat the food, there's nothing else, right? So there's no like, I'm just going to sneak a few chocolate freckles because they're still in the container. But
my tummy is rumbling as you're
I
saying that.
And like I said, the all or nothing thinking, which was, let's eat all the chocolate freckles in the cupboard because I'm going to go on a fast next week and I can't have them for another week, so we should eat them all now. And I kind of relay that across to, where's the reset in business? Because I know sometimes, for me anyway, and I know our clients that we talk to, you can get into such a rut around things. Like you can get caught up in this, nothing's going to work. I'm working all these hours, or it could be the flip side, the procrastination of sitting there going, I can't do this. I don't know what to do next. So you do nothing. Sometimes it's the circuit breaker or the reset that you need, and you need to provide that for yourself, or be in a position to listen to somebody else who can offer some insights to you without putting your defenses up and saying, oh no, but it's not possible for me to do something like that. So that's a long-winded way, but they're my two keys.
Yeah. And I think that's really key what you said there around, it's not possible for me to do something like that. And what I'd love for our listeners from this episode is to actually think about what would be something that they have thought that about before, and do something about that. And we'll talk about that in a couple of moments. But as we're talking through this, like, think about, what is that thing? Oh, I could never do that. Because I know, again, there's milestones in business where we may have at one point thought, oh, that could never be me. I mean, I remember even Jules back in the day, my wife saying, oh, Nikki, you could, create content and do your own kind of training modules and things. And I was like, yeah, right. As if I could do that. This was a while ago, obviously. But I was like, wow, yeah, of course I could. Like, that's a no-brainer. This is what I do every single day. It's just such a simple example. Ness, do you have any moments like that you can remember that you want to share?
Yeah, for sure. I remember going back, it was probably over 10 years ago, but I did City to Surf a couple of times. And there was a reason behind it. We had my brother-in-law's best friend passed away of cancer. And so we decided that a big group of us, there's about 15 of us, were going to go up because he loved doing that run. So there was a lot of motivation, emotional motivation behind it. I couldn't even run between just down the street. I'd be puffed out. I hated running. And a friend of mine said, just when you're running, just run between light posts. Just run between one light post and then the next one walk, and so on. But the first one I went through, I was like, how did that even? I can't do this. And then I was able to run the majority of that race. And I think it's around that whole thing about it was something I wanted to do, but I didn't think I was physically capable of doing it. However, getting somebody to help me, to give me a training program, to follow the program, to have support of other people around. So we had a group chat going where people would put in their times and what was going on. We had one hill in Paynesville at the time. I was running up and down it. There was nowhere in preparation for Sydney Hills, but it was something that was achievable. And I think that belief that things get too hard and we can't possibly do them. I have no intention whatsoever of doing another marathon or anything like that. But in that moment, it was just such a sense of satisfaction that I had gone from a place of puffing and not being able to get through from one light post to another to running 14Ks.
Yeah. And even that, it's not even going from that, running that light post. It's from going from a place of, oh, I couldn't do that. Yes. I can't do that. It's even before that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that feeling of, wow, I did it. And then almost, here's a pattern that I see, and I'm curious to see if you do too. There's almost this, once it's achieved, there can be almost a diminishing of, oh yeah, but it wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
Like I remember I did the Unleash the Power Within, Tony Robbins coal fire.
I did that.
Yes. And when I really think about it, it's pretty freaking awesome. Like really. But then it's also, yeah, but how many hundreds of thousands of people have done it? Like there's also this tendency once we've done it to go, yeah, but was it really that hard? That's what I find. And I think we have to stop that. We have to do a circuit breaker around that and actually own how awesome that thing was. And it doesn't matter when I say awesome, maybe other people have done it. That's not what this is about. This is a race for yourself. Like we talked about before, do it for yourself. And, you know, a 5-day fast might be easier for some people than others. It doesn't matter. yeah, I'm bringing that up again. But it's about just make sure we honor and celebrate what we did achieve.
Absolutely. And I really can see over the period of time where I've been able to do these little challenges or big challenges, things like bungee jumping that I did way back in 2016, you know, those kinds of things that go, if I can do this, then surely I can do anything else. I did those 2 years in a row. I did the City to Surf, and then I started my business 2 years later. I don't think there's, I think there's not a coincidence there. I think there's something in relation to proving to yourself that you can take on a challenge and achieve it. And then looking through the lens of that when you're coming up with difficulties in your business, in life, and saying, well, if I got through that, what did I do then to help me? So I look back and I go, well, what I did was I got help. I had support. I had a really, really good vision around why I wanted to do the run. You know, there's so many similarities between that. And also for our fast this week, there's a really strong personal commitment to doing it because I see the health benefits of it. And I feel amazing. I've got a lot of energy and, you know, just that feeling of being able to show up for my clients and have more clarity in thinking about when it comes to any decisions we have to make in the business and what we're going to do next. So there's so many overlaying benefits, I think.
Yeah. And I think what's important to mention also is that, I mean, today you feel great and we feel really great, but it's also in the down times, because with any of these types of challenges or when we believe that we can't, like when you're puffing after that first light post and you're probably thinking there's a lot of things going on in your mind or whatever that is metaphorically for each of us, we have to remember and stay connected. I feel like I'm being cliche, but connected to our why in the down times. Yeah. But something that a mentor said to me early in my sales career was that it's really easy to be a great sales rep when the times are good. So this was on the cusp of the GFC. And before that, I was an awesome sales rep, but all I really had to do was pick up the phone and I'd sell a double-page spread in the newspaper. I was in media advertising. It really wasn't that hard, but I'm like, yeah, I'm so good at this. Just all I did sometimes, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still worked hard, but the market was strong. And then the GFC hit and it's like, oh, right, things are changing. And that has stuck with me because at that time it was sales rep, but what is that for you? It's easy to be a good insert blank when times are easy. It's easy to do a fast when we feel energetic and not hungry. And some moments are like that. And then there's other moments where it's not like that. And that's part of the growth. We can't avoid that. We can't. In fact, if we didn't have the hard parts, we wouldn't get the good parts either. Yeah. It's the hard parts that actually make it worthwhile. That's what gives us the sense of accomplishment. But Ness, I want to ask you, because one thing we sort of talked about before we hit record that I think is worth bringing up is that sometimes we can think, oh, I've done that before. Great. If I do it again, it'll be easy. Or we have an expectation around how it will go. Again, we talk about the fast. This fast for me has been a bit different to the last one. Some days were easier where I thought it'd be harder and vice versa. And there's lots of different impacts to that, like where we are in our menstrual cycle, what's going on externally. But it's easy to forget that there's external or even internal impacts that will change the experience, even though we're striving for the same outcome. Do you find the same thing?
Yeah, look, I think about this in the context of business as well. There's that driver to be able to create a change, and sometimes we have an expectation as to how hard or easy that's going to be, and that can hold us back. So if we think something's going to be really hard, we might avoid it. And if we think something's going to be easy and then it becomes hard, then we go, oh, this is way worse than what I thought it was going to be. I'm out. So I really think that it is about setting an expectation around, and that's why the vision matters so much. It's why the purpose matters so much, because that's what's got to hold you there.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's going to keep you going. And I think about the women that we talk to who are perhaps on the way to burnout, and they are just trying to be everything to everyone, and they're trying to help everybody else out, but they can't fill anyone else's cup from an empty cup. And so considering, well, they're probably going, when the hell would I be able to get a chance to do something like that? But the reality is, if you put yourself first, you can actually show up in such a better way for yourself and other people. So for us, for example, the clarity, and I think you would agree with me here, Nick, the clarity in thinking and the energy that we have means we can bring more to our client base. So if it was about others that was driving us, we can actually, I guess, satisfy that voice in our head that says, no, but this isn't about me. But I think we've been fortunate enough because we've been able to look at it from both angles and make it about what is this going to do for us outside of business, because this is about health, isn't it? At its core, this is about resetting health. And we just get this lovely flow-on effect that we get to turn up probably more clear and more energized.
Yeah, health and mindset too. The two are equal for me, for sure. And what I love in that, Ness, I think what's really important to highlight there is that we so often, as women or caretakers, or the responsibility of being the breadwinner or whatever that is, and I know that's you out there listening, it is so much easier to put others first. So sometimes we can trick ourselves by saying, well, I'm doing this for others, but really it's for yourself. And that's great. Whatever gets you there. But what I also want to challenge our thinking on is, for those who have good habits in place already around, maybe you already do your exercise weekly, maybe you already eat healthy, maybe you do have some me time, which is perhaps a monthly massage or a mani-pedi or whatever that might be. That is amazing and awesome. And if you don't have those things in place, that's your starting point. And if you do, once it becomes business as usual, BAU, it's maintenance. And you've got to keep, we all have to keep challenging ourselves to go, well, what's that next level of like really self-care, self-love, to flourish, to thrive. And that's where something like this sort of thing, but not saying that go do a fast, but whatever that is for you, can really help amplify that. But it's just, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, let's not get complacent with what we define as self-care. Let's continue to challenge ourselves individually to go, how can I even build on that? Because one of the things I also talked about a lot through COVID was that whatever our self-care was in place initially, we need to up the ante. So if you're finding that times are more stressful and you are in the position, like Ness said, you're juggling all the balls and you're all things to all people, ironically, I know it feels like you do not have the time for this, but you actually need more self-care than just your BAU. And the final thing I want to say about this before I hand over to Ness for any final comments is that oftentimes we fall into the trap of all of our self-care being push, i.e. I go for a run, I go to the gym, I schedule this, I schedule that. It's all very structured and it's all very masculine. outward energy, like even going to the gym, just the social aspect, if you're an introvert, can take it out of you before you've even done any exercise. If you're an extrovert, it's going to fill your cup. But we have to look at self-care also, as I called this yesterday in a coaching call, the practice of doing nothing. We have to embrace the practice of doing nothing. We can maybe talk about that a little bit more in another podcast. But the message here is just no constant pushing, and up the ante though around what else could be self-care, but it doesn't have to be doing more.
Yeah.
Could be doing less.
Absolutely. And the theme I pick up through everything you've just said is around discomfort.
Yeah.
Because for some people, doing nothing is going to feel way more uncomfortable than going to the gym.
But for a lot of people, yeah.
And for some people, stretching out and, to do that thing, to maybe going to the gym is the discomfort. Maybe that's the thing that's really hard for them to do, but they want to. So really, this is probably, it really comes down to how comfortable are you? And if your routine of self-care has become comfortable, what are you going to do to stretch beyond that comfort so that you can take you take it up to the next level? And the benefits then come back. So if you're meditating for, every second day or only for 3 minutes a day, what would that look like if you up the ante on that? These little things. So anyway, let's wrap up with the one thing. What's one action, Nick, that you think our wonderful listeners could take in order to be able to break this cycle of comfort?
Oh, look, I'm thinking that the obvious answer to that would be for everyone to think about. So if you're listening, which you obviously are, pick one thing that makes you feel uncomfortable to do in the next 24 hours. And really think about what's a habit that you want to break or create, or what popped up for you when you heard Ness and I talking. We talked about a variety of different areas in business and life. Just choose one thing that feels damn uncomfortable and do that in the next 24 hours. And we'd love to hear from you what that is. And there's no judgment. I invite you to bring no judgment of self around how big or little that thing is either. It's the little things that actually bring the big results. And all of this is about remembering that if we thrive in any area of life, we will thrive in business. So what area that is, whether it's health, business, what doesn't matter. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. One area, one thing that makes you feel uncomfortable, and then let us know, share with us what that is. What do you think, Ness? Is that a good action?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Good luck, people. Let us know how you go. And we'll see you next time.
See you later.